I want to talk today about how taking a break from social media is healthy for a woman's body image. Now, I believe this can be healthy for men as well, and for our youth. One thing I make sure my kids know is, look, what you see is not real. Most of what you see on social media is way over filtered. Hi, everyone. Janna here. Welcome to my show, Revive with Janna. Hope you're all having a really great day. Thank you for taking time out of your day and taking a break and a pause to tune in and listen to me. I want to talk today about how taking a break from social media is healthy for a woman's body image. Now, I believe this can be healthy for men as well, and for our youth. So recently, I was on a Fox News radio tour about this topic. And, when my PR guy sent the topic out, um, it caught fire, meaning people wanted to interview me left and right on this subject about social media break and how it helps a woman's body image. And so the requests for interviews to get my expertise on this topic were coming in left and right. And I knew that this was something I needed to dive more into and share with you, my audience. Um, and so in these interviews, right, they're the host is asking the questions. I don't get to just share whatever because I have to answer their question. They're very short interviews, right? Like anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes, maybe somewhere longer, TV, radio, you name it. And, you know, I realized in doing the studies, and reading the studies that were sent over that the hosts were going to read, and looking at the data, it's kind of alarming, honestly. And it's not something that I don't think we think about much because social media has just become it's the norm, right? And you know, one of the things that that I said, was the fact that all of this really depends on the age too, right? I was born in 81 and I didn't grow up with social media. We had magazine subscriptions, if you had one. So maybe you got a magazine once a month, as a woman back then it would be Cosmo, Marie Claire, Shape, um, things like that. And so, there was always a beautiful model on there. And I'm sure maybe we wanted to look like her. You compared yourself, but nothing like it is today. Maybe it just motivated you to strive harder for your image, as a woman who has suffered from multiple eating disorders and body issues and having to overcome them, even well into my 30s, I understand firsthand what it's like to just feel like you're not good enough, to feel like you're not perfect. And in my book, my number one bestseller, Unfuck Your Mind, I talk about that, right? I talk about how perfectionism is a mask. And if you're always striving for perfection, you're never going to reach it. It's like the character at the beginning of every Ice Age movie, right? The little squirrel or whatever he is, it's always trying to get his acorn. And he goes really, really close. And then every single time he misses. That's what it's like trying to achieve perfection. But yet we do. And I think we try harder than ever now, right? My body issues that I had and eating disorders didn't stem because of a subscription magazine that came once a month that I might have looked at, or looking at Victoria's Secret magazines. Mine came from my family life and watching my mom struggle with her weight, and my dad criticized it constantly, and looks were talked about, right? And so I associated being thin with being accepted because of my environment. So I say that because I cannot imagine being a teenager today in the society we live in with social media. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 16 by the time you're listening to this, and my daughter will be 14 soon. And, I try to monitor their social media as much as I can, but I'm not perfect at it. I have parenting apps, and, my daughter's not on many social media apps, but it's still there. And I recently learned, being a mom of teenagers, Snapchat to me was something that it was something I had on my phone when my kids were younger because we would have a ball just sitting there doing the funny filters and then we just deleted them, right? I didn't use it for anything else. I never sent those out. It was literally use the funny filters and delete. But now that they're teenagers, they use Snapchat all the time and I thought it was just the funny filter things. For my daughter it kind of is, but for my son, he's like, "Mom, that's how we message each other." Well, you may not know this, but with social media and Snapchat, when you send a message, it's only there for like 24 hours, right? Screenshots are hard to do. If you take a screenshot, it tells the person you did. And so I realize, these teenagers are doing it because it gives them a sense of privacy, right? Does it mean they're hiding things? Not necessarily. It's just that's what they do. And they all follow each other, right? They all do the same things. Um, I'm just not that way. I never was that way. Even as a teenager, I've kind of what everybody else was doing or having or saying or wanting, I was kind of like, I wanted the opposite, right? But, another interview topic that I did that caught fire was the overuse of skincare products and how girls at a young age are addicted to skincare. And that one caught fire too. And I see that, right? I have my oldest son and my daughter both love to do, skin mask and all the beauty products and stuff like that. Look, it's a healthy thing, but too much of one thing is not good, right? But back to the social media, the one thing, and like I said, my daughter's not on any of the other apps, but the one thing I make sure my kids know is, look, what you see is not real. Most of what you see on social media is way over filtered. When I was studying all the research for this topic for the Fox News radio tour, what I learned was that it showed an account on TikTok, and it showed the way they portray themselves and what they really look in real life. And my gosh, if not, they use a filter on everything, and it's night and day, guys. Look, I don't mind a little bit of a filter to change the way the lighting looks or to get rid of dark circles under the eyes if it's, makes it lighter or cooler or whatever it is. But this was like kind of changing the way they looked a little bit, given the thinner face and the different cheekbones, and just it was an enhancement for sure. And, as an adult woman, you might be able to see that, but our youth cannot. And so though this topic was supposed to be just about how taking a break from social media is good for a woman's body image, I really also focus a lot on our youth because as a mom of teenagers, I see it really affecting them. If you think about it, the younger generation's never known life without social media. My kids cannot fathom that I grew up without, I didn't have an iPad. I didn't have movies in the car. I didn't have social media. We didn't have all these things, and they just can't fathom it, right? We didn't have all these apps on a TV. There's no Netflix. There was no Vudu. There was nothing like that. Hell, we didn't have a computer till I was damn near a teenager. And so it's a much different society, and our kids will never know what that's like. But for me, knowing what it's like, I'm now able to see the difference, right? And I never just share my opinion on something. I can give my opinion, sure. But the reason I do this podcast and talk about the topics I talk about is because they're passionate to me and because I have knowledge, expertise, and experience. And life's lessons are our best teachers if we allow them to be, right? But I know for me, sometimes, I'm obviously on social media. It's a huge part of my life and what I do. And when I first started to really do social media before I had my business account, you kind of get caught up in like what people are doing and the beauty products and all of these things. And that's just not for me. And I think it's really important to know that you don't have to follow everyone. Maybe you've met someone once. Doesn't mean you have to follow them. Maybe they follow you. Doesn't mean you have to follow them. I go through and I clean and I purge who I follow. If you go and look at my social media account right now on Instagram, I have over 27,000 followers, but I don't follow very many at all. Like, I think I follow less than 400, definitely less than 500. And the ratio of my followers and what I follow is huge. The reason is because there are a lot of people I know when I see in events and maybe I talk to them, say hi. I don't need to follow them. Just doesn't mean that their content's for me, right? Um, and I think that it's okay. I think sometimes you have to have someone give you permission to do that. But if ever, when you're scrolling through your social media, if there's something that you always see in an account that just makes you feel uneasy, or you just kind of like, I really don't like it, but I feel like I need to follow them or I know them, I don't give a shit. If you do not like it and you really don't like them, but every time you look at their feed and it pops up in yours, if it gives you any sort of negative feeling, I want you to unfollow them today. And that's okay. Because if you cared about them enough, you would like them enough that you would enjoy the shit they share, right? And, you know, I think that's really, really important. Um, I do that a lot. And I don't care who it is. Maybe I'm going to see them at an event all the time. Doesn't mean that we're friends. Nobody is going to make you be friends with anybody. Um, and if these people cared so much about that, you'd probably like what they share. But if you want to know the truth, those people that you really probably should unfollow, maybe they probably won't even notice, nor would they give a shit, right? And, you don't have to be nice. Being nice means you're doing something that you really don't want to do, but you feel that you're, you know, opted to do. So when you take a break from social media, and I have done this, um, but I feel like when I did it, it was kind of forced. In other words, there was something going on in my life that was so intense and so much. I realized I'm not going to be good at sharing right now. I'm not going to be good of service to my audience and giving them what it is that I want to give you. I don't just share to share. Everything I share, I put my heart and soul into, and I'm passionate about it, and it means something to me. And I want to be of service to others, to give them hope and inspiration, motivation, right? And I want you to know that. And though I try to share every day, if I just don't know what I want to share, or I'm just not feeling it, I don't. And sometimes I need a break. And you know what? When I take that break, I do feel better, because not only is social media sometimes, it's too much. It gets inundated with crap. But I feel like, because for me, it's part of my business and what I do, I have to be on it a lot. Um, and sometimes I just don't want to be. And so I take a break. And it was really hard for me to do that, right? When I started to really grow, it was really hard for me to do that. I felt like I was letting someone down. But you know who I was letting down? I was letting down myself. I was letting down myself by feeling like I owed somebody something, by feeling like I have to share or I'll lose followers. I'm not going to lose anyone who really gives a shit about me and what I do and what I provide and what I give. So remember that. Sometimes taking a break is a really good thing, but I think it is all the time. And the only way you know something's by doing it, right? So why don't you just decide you're going to take 2 days off, or 3 days, or start with 2 days and then see how you are after that. And I promise you, it's going to be hard. I find that the times that it would be the hardest when you're taking a break, or for me, was getting in bed, waking up, when I got bored, when I wanted a break from work. But I just realized, like, I'm going to go down some rabbit holes, and I'm just like, I'm just not in the mood. And you just have to be patient with yourself. But like, the time's going to go by no matter what. So give yourself this break. But the thing that I really, really want to hit on, the last thing I'm going to hit on, is don't compare yourself. Stop comparing yourself. Do not compare yourself. No two people are made alike, and half of what you see are filters. I want to share a little story. In the world that I work in and go to a lot of events and things, um, you a lot of the times you meet people first on social media, on a Zoom, whatever, and there's so many filters used and all this stuff, enhancements. But I'll be damned if when I haven't met these people in person, I didn't recognize them. They had to come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh. Now, people always recognize me because I look the same. I look the same in person as I do on my website, as I do on my thumbnails, as I do on social media, on my post. I always look the same. Maybe sometimes I have glasses on. Maybe sometimes I don't have makeup. Maybe sometimes I have a hat on. Maybe sometimes it just ain't my best day. But I look the same. I have met people who, if they when they told me their name, I thought, holy shit, do they not use filters? And that's just not right, man. I don't want people to ever go, oh, that's not good, right? So just know that a lot of what you see, people are not comfortable sharing their real authentic selves, whether it's using their voice or the way they look. And I understand that because I used to be that way, but I wasn't never fake. And, you know, when you compare yourself to other people, you're just hurting yourself. What you see isn't always real, and the way people act is what they want you to see. So just remember that. Be your best version of you, but you cannot be your best version of you if you're trying to be like somebody else. And you cannot be your best version of you when you're constantly comparing yourself. You want to be the best version of you. Focus on what's in the mirror. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.